Hello, we're coming to you on behalf of the Investment Diversity Exchange as a part of the Tide 10 series. Thank you for joining us today. I'm Tamla Wilson, Director of Institutional Relations at Bridgeway Capital Management. Joining me is Lan Cai, who is the Deputy Chief Investment Officer at the Pension Boards of the United Church of Christ. She is also responsible for investing for the UCF endowment. Lan focuses on global asset allocation and manager selection in public and private equities, hedge funds, and real estate. Hey, Lan.
Hi, how are you, Tammy?
I'm good. Good to see you. So I have a few questions for you, of course. And the first one that pops in my mind with what we're going through right now, most people have put travel on hold, both allocators and managers. We've all had to create or be creative on how we have meetings. So at Bridgeway, I know we've been really having an increase in Zoom meetings and phone calls. How are you selecting managers during this time? Are you seeing new managers?
Yes, we are seeing new managers, and we are doing a lot of phone calls and Zoom meetings too, like we're doing now. For the new managers, we definitely wanted to do on Zoom because we can see them. For existing managers that we have on with them for a long time, we actually prefer phone calls so that we don't need to see ourselves when we are having the call. We can concentrate it on the deck they send over, and then we can go through things more in detail. Our manager selection process really haven't changed that much, although to be honest, without going to the firms on site during the final due diligence process, for example, it is hard to pick up some subtlety in the culture and the morale. And also, we usually prefer to have, for example, the co-PMs in the same room, or the PMs and analysts all together, so that we can see some interactions within the team, which also help to understand kind of the investment process. That is a little bit harder to pick the body languages on Zoom, but we're trying.
Right. Well, one of the reasons that we were really excited to speak with you is because the pension board focuses on responsible investing. Your tagline is where faith and finance intersect. So I'm an ordained minister, and I find that it is possible to be in our industry and still do good. And that really at our core, we're in this noble profession as stewards of other people's assets. And so how do you at the pension board review responsible investing? Do you look strictly for managers who are already doing ESG, SRI, or impact investing? Or would you also look at managers who aren't necessarily focused on those issues and work with them to integrate those issues?
I'll give you a very long answer on that one.
That's all right.
Faith and the finance is at heart our investments. And I feel really close to you now that I know you're an ordained minister. When you look at ESG, for example, it's the same word, but mean different things for different people. And we have to be pragmatic in terms of applying faith and finance into different asset classes. So in the public markets, for public equities and then fixed income, we use ESG screens for most of the managers in our portfolio. And you know the church has certain issues that we care about. So that's the social responsible screens that we apply for all the managers. On top of that, we also focus on some positive elements. We have a sustainable investing index on the equity side that look at the positive ESG factors. On the fixed income side, we invest in green bonds. So the part of the fixed income is managed in-house. So we are not a huge player in the core bond portfolio, for example, certainly not compared to the PIMCO and BlackRock the world. But when in terms of green bond investing, actually we are one of the big player that has in this space for a very long time, and then it's very active. On the private side, we would like to focus on impact. That's applied to both private equity and venture, and then also actually for private credit as well, because we do think that will be most direct that you can assess the impact. And we use SDGs that you're familiar with as a key measurements. And we have 3 verticals that we like to focus on. One is human capital and education. One is healthcare, accessibility, affordability, and quality. And then the last one, but it's not the least important one, is climate. So we look at renewable energies, alternative energy, and then resources. So those are all applied quite integral into our investment process. And on top of that, we have a social responsible director that will engage on certain proxy voting items with the managers. And so we would like to really expand the whole horizon of exclusion, engagement, and enhancement. I know that's a pretty long way to answer your question.
It was very thorough. Thank you. So with recent events, the world has been focused on issues regarding racial justice and equity. And in our industry, that's really created more conversations around diversity. What are your diversity initiatives, and how do you think the industry can do more?
The industry has to do more, and then everyone needs to find out how. We always incorporate this diversity question in the questionnaire to our managers, and we really wanted to push them to look for minority team members and women team members. In this environment, to be honest, we are spending more time and with deliberations to look at emerging managers and also look at minority and woman-owned businesses and investment team. We do hope there is this nice ecosystem that we can bring to the whole investment community to advocate for diversity and inclusion. I learned this term from one of the managers. It's called money multiply. As allocator pushes for asset managers, and hence asset managers apply to that investments and push for companies to make positive changes, that you are using the money multiply effect. And I truly hope that is the case.
I appreciate your thoughts on that. And I agree with you, certainly. I would like to see more done around, like you said, ownership, but also in the areas of decision makers, portfolio management teams. I think diversity is so much more than just the ownership of the firm. So I'm glad to see that y'all are digging into that. So my last question for you is, what have you been doing more of while sheltering in place, aside from work? Do you have any new hobbies, or is there anything that you've stopped doing?
I will go with the stop doing first,
Okay.
so that I can save time for what I'm doing more.
Okay.
So what I stopped doing is, one is commuting, and that saved a significant amount of my time, which is being used very productively, either through work or reading or exercising, and I find that rewarding. But the other thing that I stopped doing, which I feel really proud of, is I stopped printing. Thinking about how many trees I saved over the last few months, gosh. And I think I'll continue to do so, even if we return back to the office. That's very
awesome.
Mentally friendly. I haven't had new hobbies, although I have kids. My younger one started to love cooking.
Oh, good.
So he's looking at recipes online, looking at YouTube, and then doing a lot of cooking. So I guess that my new hobby is trying what he cooks. Some of them are really good.
Oh,
and
good.
Also clean up after he's done.
Oh, after him.
Probably not, but yeah.
Awesome. Well, I enjoyed talking with you. I'm so glad we had the opportunity to do this, and thank you for taking time out of your very busy schedule. I looked at your job description, and it's a pretty hefty one. So I know you're busy, and we appreciate you taking time to do this on behalf of the Investment Diversity Exchange and the Titan series.
Well, my pleasure, absolutely, Tammy. And then I really applaud what Grace is doing. So go tight. We wanted diversity in this industry.
All right. Well, thank you. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye.